Welcome. We got a special one today. We have an actual blues artist with us today. I'm a pretty big fan of this gentleman. We got to know each other during COVID. He had specials on his started on Facebook, and then he moved over to YouTube with his story times and um, and and performances. So a great artist, going back to the '60s, playing at the Avalon Ballroom and out of Chicago, and it has a very interesting start, and his whole life is very interesting. I've been lucky enough to get to hear all the little juicy tidbits throughout our little Zoom meetings, and so we have him today, and let's bring him in now. Corky Siegel. Well, welcome, Corky. It's good to see you. Um,
We finally get to talk.
yeah, after all these years.
Yeah.
Um, so since the people that watch my channel don't know, we're in a little Zoom together that Corky started a long time ago, and I don't know what he expected at first. If he thought that was going to be 100 people or 1,000 people, or luckily it turned out to be about 20 people, which was a workable number, and he liked it, and we all loved it. We all thought this was great. We get to actually talk to the artist. So,
It's
um,
it's group therapy for us. We've been doing it since March 2020, March
wow,
18th, 2020.
wow, that's cool. Okay, so we're going to try to talk to Corky here about some of his early um, connections with the blues and how he started out and that kind of thing. Thought I'd start out with um, this record.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, you had a little experience with this guy.
Oh yeah. Well, I had experience with his records. Let's
Oh,
see, what was the first record I have? The record that I had is Muddy, it just says Muddy Waters, and it's a big picture of his side of his face.
ah, I have this one.
That's
This
not
is
it. That's not it. But anyway, I
oh,
had a Muddy Waters record.
hmm.
I had a Howlin' Wolf record.
Well, we'll get to him here. We
Oh,
just
you
go
want
right
to
to him.
Muddy
Why not just go right there? So there's some Howlin' Wolf.
and a Jimmy Reed,
Uh, well,
the rocking chair.
I didn't bring any Jimmy Reed,
Okay.
but uh, was he out of Chicago too?
I don't think so, but I just had those three records. That's how I really got heavy into enjoying the blues because um I actually before that I had heard a whole lot of 45s. My uncle had a Tasty Freeze stand in on Cottage Grove, like 76 in Cottage Grove or something like that. It was an all black neighborhood. So the jukebox in the Tasty Freeze stand was going to have, a lot of blues records. And so when he closed the thing, he gave the records to my sister. And when I became old enough, she gave them to me.
You
And
sure you didn't just confiscate them?
yeah, I did that too. But they were all 45s, and it was a lot of R&B. Little Richard, um,
Is
Lyman,
that right?
what was his name?
Frankie Lyman? Frankie
Frankie
Lyman.
Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. All of that kind of R&B stuff, and
Hmm.
some straight ahead blues. Fell in love with that stuff, and then someone heard me playing the harmonica as they walked by. A neighbor who walked by every day dribbling a basketball. One day heard me playing the harmonica because Bob Buchanan of the Christie Minstrels was dating the girl that we both played guitar and sang, and we were doing like Everly Brothers type of tunes. And so he said you should play harmonica. So I started, playing harmonica a little bit like Bob Dylan. And this kid came by and he says, that's the wrong way to play the harmonica. Let me show you how it's done. And he brought me these three albums and let me borrow these three albums. I didn't know him other than saying hello once in a while, but he lived kitty corner from me. And he brought Muddy Waters, Jimmy Reed, and Howlin' Wolf. And
Nice way to start.
did I fall in love? And I was like dancing around my parents' home in ecstasy, listening to this stuff. And because I had taken clarinet lessons, I was playing guitar, a teeny bit of piano. I started trying to learn some of the songs on the piano. And
I thought you started on sax.
well, I should say, uh, absolutely, saxophone followed the guitar. No, it preceded. I don't know. It's confusing. I sort of did them all at one time, right at that period of time. So I was playing guitar, piano, and saxophone. You're
Wow.
correct. Yeah.
Wow. Immersive. That sounds like you though, being immersive. Just go right deep into it. Find something you love and let's get into it.
Yeah. So I was, playing around, but I never really studied them from a music theory, technical, learn how to play. I just wanted to hear the sound and put expression into it, no matter what it was, whether it was guitar or whatever. And so I wasn't necessarily focused on developing my chops, but I had all that going. And here comes these three blues albums and the harmonica. And so rather than learning the licks, harmonica licks off of the albums, what I wanted to do is transfer what I knew on saxophone to the harmonica, which is why I didn't sound like a traditional blues player. The saxophone came from the melodies that were sung by Little Richard, Fats Domino, Frankie Lyman, Elvis Presley. So all those melodies and the vocals were transferred over to the harmonica. And also the improvisation on saxophone, which was a blues scale, that was transferred over to the harmonica. And I realized Jim Schwall said you could bend notes. So Jim Schwall's the guy. When I met Jim Schwall, he was the guitar player, Jim Schwall. He was the guy that said you could bend notes on the harmonica to fulfill more the blues scale. That's sort of how it all happened technically, because a neighbor came over and brought those three albums.
That's so cool. Just so cool.
Yeah. And so we were writing, Jim and I wrote some songs based on the blues, and we were learning. I had learned a bunch of Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and Jimmy Reed tunes, enough to play maybe even more than a full set. And that's when I had met Jim, and he came over and he told me about playing, the bending notes on the harmonica.
When did Pepper's Lounge come into this?
Yeah, it was just about to come because we had put together some songs, and we had already gone out one time to play a few of the songs. We knew like three songs at the time. And we went to a place in Chicago in Hyde Park, walked into a coffee house. There were two people in the back of the coffee house, and we just asked if we could play, and the barrister said, yes, sure, go ahead. And so he pulled out his guitar and I played some harmonica. And that was Rado and Ragney, who wrote Hair, the authors of the musical Hair. Not yet. So they asked us if we'd write a musical with them. And we were writing Hair and didn't even know it. That was our first excursion outside of our apartment to play music. The very next excursion was looking for a club to play, because now we had more songs. We could do a full set, and we were just looking for somewhere to play. And that's when we walked into Pepper's Show Lounge, not knowing it was ground zero of the blues, Chicago blues, Southside blues, I should say. And we walked in and we said we'd like to play. And at the time, I had drums under the piano. a bass drum and a hi-hat under the piano, boom, chick, dum, dum,
Uh,
dum, and then a little drumstick on the piano keys that I pick up and play the left hand of the piano and the right hand on the thing when Jim was playing a guitar solo, just all the possible versions, and then a microphone right in the middle where
and then your foot on the end of the keys.
I hadn't gotten there yet. And then, so I'd be playing, and then I'd pick up a harmonica instead of a stick. I'd pick up a harmonica and play the harmonica. Sometimes I'd stop and just play like this, and Jim would play. So we had all these combinations, and the guy said, go ahead and audition. And so, okay, it was in the afternoon. So the ladies are coming and you could play for them. We played for them. He hired us immediately to play from 9 at night till 4 in the morning every Thursday night. Just amazing. And
Wow, that's
we
a
said,
long set.
he said, I don't want you to do the two-man band thing. I'm going to hire you a bass player and a drummer. So we didn't know it, but here we are playing with all these famous bass players and drummers, different one every night. If Howlin' Wolf wasn't on the road, it'd be his bass player and drummer. If Junior Wells and Buddy Guy weren't on the road, it'd be his bass player and drummer, etc. Every night. I didn't know that. I was just thought these were blues guys. But the first night we played, Howlin' Wolf shows up. Then Muddy Waters, and they hop up on stage and they play with us. Buddy Guy, Junior Wells, Willie Dixon, Otis Spann, Otis Rush, all these blues masters taking us under their wing and playing with us night after night after night, all night long, from 9 to night to 4 in the morning. Right from listening to our records. I'm listening to the Muddy Waters record and the Howlin' Wolf record, and weeks later, I'm on stage with them. Yeah, boom, boom, boom.
How did you not just freeze up?
I didn't understand.
How fortunate.
Yes. And I call myself an innocent victim of incredible good fortune. Looking back, look right then, I thought, oh, this is cool. But looking back, it's, oh my God, what
Yeah,
unbelievable what happened.
serendipity. Wow. So here's a few others. I think you just mentioned Otis Rush.
It's Rush and Little Walter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Little Walter sat in.
Nice.
There's a whole story there. I didn't even know who he was.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Some guy shows up to the front of the stage and he says, I'd like to sit in. But he had been drinking all night, you can tell. I said, why don't you come back another time? And the audience yells, let him sit in. That's Little Walter. And I went, I'm thinking, who's Little Walter? I was listening to the Muddy Waters album with Little Walter on it, but I never had time to turn the record over and read it. I was too excited about the music. That sort of defines my role, is I really never got into the technical parts. I never really thought about trying to achieve something other than the expression and enjoy it. Boom. So
beautiful. That's beautiful. How about this guy?
Charlie Musselwhite. I love Charlie. He, at some point, stopped drinking. And when he stopped drinking, he said the reason he stopped drinking is because there was this little girl that fell into a well. It was famous, so you may have heard about that. And she was singing nursery rhymes to herself the whole time. And Charlie said, if this little 5-year-old girl could be trapped down deep in the bottom of a well all alone, and she had the courage to sing nursery rhymes to herself, I certainly could give up drinking. And he gave up drinking. And he is one of the most brilliant, beautiful people I've ever met, Charlie Musselwhite. Yeah. So in the 60s, yeah. Magic Sam. We saw a show with Magic Sam when there were only 4 people in the audience. And he was absolutely brilliant. He played acoustic. guitar.
Wow.
That was in
Wow.
Mother Blues in Chicago.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's got some interesting pictures in there. Early performances.
Ah,
Yeah, another great artist. And four people. It's like, come on, folks, get out there. It's,
well,
it's
Janis Joplin played at Mother Blues, and I picked her up from the airport with her group. They were very, very nice. And, maybe there were 12 people that showed up to the show.
uh, how
Uh,
about Etta James?
Never met her.
Never met her. Okay. Um, Hear about this Fathers and Sons?
Yeah,
This
I knew all those guys.
So yeah, you got Muddy Waters, Otis Spann, Michael Bloomfield, Paul Butterfield, Donald Duck Dunn, Sam Lay. You kind of know him a little.
Yeah, yeah. Donald Duck. I didn't know Duck. I didn't meet him. I may have known him without knowing him.
Uh, we how about Coco Taylor?
Oh, really well. Knew her very, very well. Played with her a lot.
Wonderful.
We did a lot of shows together. And we were on a TV show together too. And she was very sweet. Yeah.
Um, we mentioned this guy.
Buddy guy. Yeah.
Uh, I got another one with him.
Him and Junior.
Hmm.
Yeah, really geniuses. The Voodoo Man album. It was Jim's favorite album in the whole world, and those guys showed their genius on that album. Very creative and very inspirational to Jim and I, probably at least subconsciously because of the way they would adventure off into the unknown. And I do, that's my style now, is just to improvise. I mean, there's really no such thing as pure improvisation, but conceptually, you're free. There's no rules.
Well, I do like we keep stay to the rules a little bit. It's
Yeah.
sometimes, well, I don't know it so much in blues, but jazz, when it gets out there where I lose uh, tempo and everything else, I'm like,
But what I say, my line is, and being 81 years old, I have all kinds of lines for everything. And the line for that one is spontaneity. We love spontaneity, but we love spontaneity, but spontaneity loves something to hang on to.
like that. Yeah, yeah. How about this one? Barry Goldberg.
Ah, Barry, he just died recently. Yeah, love Barry. I knew all these guys in the 60s, and Barry was on the Chicago Blues Reunion band thing. He was
Hmm.
sort of the mover and shaker on that one, and I toured with those guys. I never really toured with them. I never went on a tour bus before, but I did with these guys because it was sort of important socially, which brings us to a point about music that after playing for a number of years, you start realizing it's not about music, it's about people.
I
So
like
I was
that.
on that tour with Barry Goldberg, Nick Gravenites, um,
Tracy Nelson,
Tracy Nelson, Marcella Detroit, Harvey Mandel, uh, the
Sam Lay,
drummer, the drummer and the bass player,
or
Rick.
was it Sam Lay? It wasn't in that one.
Sam was also in it for a while, and Gary Malaber, who was Van Morrison's and drummer and produced with Steve Miller and also the boss,
Bruce.
Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. So that was that band. It
Okay,
it
I
was
got
it was good. Nick Gravenites was an amazing,
Electric Flag.
yeah, and the way he played guitar just was beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, I got one last one.
Oh yeah, that's a blues guy for you. uh, so I knew George probably in '65. before he was really famous. I think he was not famous in 65. We'd have to check on that, but I believe he wasn't famous when I met him. He was a big fan. And we opened for him. Siegel-Schwall opened for him in the early 70s. Uh, when he was arrested. We were there when he was arrested, and he credits with me with saving his butt. But it was actually Jim Schwall who switched jackets with him and made sure the drugs were not on him when he was being arrested.
Good plan.
Yeah.
Good plan.
Yeah, and Holly, my wife Holly, illustrated a book for George called "A Little Brain Damage." It's called "A Little Brain Damage Could Be a Good Thing" or something like that.
Yeah, Mary had a whole story time on that. Uh,
Yes, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was great. Yeah, well, that's all the records I have for today. Hopefully we can do this again. I know there's at least three other topics we can hit, um, uh, depending on your willingness. And but I would enjoy doing more of that. So thank you very much, and uh, champ out.
Camp out. Great.